Hi everyone, this is just a quick overview of my Lenovo Legion Go. I've had this since launch, so I got it around mid-November in the UK. And I'll give you a quick rundown of some specs. Ryzen Z1 Extreme, 16GB of RAM, 8.8 inch screen, 1600p. There you go. Basic specs, you can read them on the Lenovo website. If I grab it and show you, you've got a volume up and down button, a USB Type-C, that's 4.0, micro SD card. Sorry, the camera doesn't really want to focus on it. You have your vents and your power button. And on the bottom, you've got another USB Type-C, also 4.0. So ideally, you should be able to use an external GPU if you wanted to. You have Hall effect joysticks, you have your normal buttons, you have a little trackpad down here, and on this side you have your D-pad, another Hall effect joystick, and some extra buttons. On the back you have some buttons on the back that I suppose you can map to what you want, and a little scroll wheel built into the controller. Obviously you have your normal gamepad type buttons. If I turn the screen on, it's a very vibrant and nice screen. I think it's rated over the sRGB standard range. It's more like, I think it's in the 90% range of the DCI P3 range of colour accuracy. It's pretty good, to be fair. I just don't think Windows scales very well with colourful displays. So I've turned my saturation down a little bit. The good thing about this is that it's fairly powerful, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I quite often just use this as a tablet. You can take the controllers off, you can use it as a tablet, walk around your house and do what you want with it. Usually if I'm using it just as a tablet, I'll slap it in power saving mode, so the battery just doesn't drain as quick, because if you keep it in the performance mode all the time, the battery just seems to go down no matter what. I mean, what am I in now? 18% battery. That will get dropped. That will drop really quickly, even if you're not doing anything really extensive with it. But that's what you get when you have a fairly powerful device with a somewhat smallish battery. So yeah, some things that I like about it. I think all the buttons feel reasonable quality. I think the screen is great. I think the stand's great. The stand feels, there's a little bit of flex in the stand, don't get me wrong, but it still feels really solid. And it has a decent range of how you can extend it. So you can have it lying quite flat like that if you want it to. Or you can bring it right up. So yeah, the stand's great. The fact that controllers can come off is neat, but to be honest, even if I'm just using it as like a bit of a tablet or watching some YouTube videos, I always keep the controllers on. I've never actually took the controllers off to play a game like that. Not really. It doesn't feel that comfortable to me. For the money as well, you also get a pretty decent carrying case. Open it up if it's the stuff that you'd normally need. Obviously you can fit the little hockey puck thing in there. Once again, I don't really think the hockey puck is the best feature in the world. It's more like a gimmick for me, but some people might want to use it. So yeah, running average games, I play a lot of older games, like maybe Call of Duty Black Ops 3, Zombies, stuff like that. I think it's completely fine. GTA 5 as well, it runs them well, fairly high settings. You might have to drop the resolution down a little bit to 1200 or 800p, but if you enable integer scaling in the AMD software, 800p scales quite nicely to the native 1600p. Some people have reported issues with these regarding the detachable controllers. Some people's flex a little bit more than others. Some people have a slight issue with, I think, the left speaker can sometimes crackle. I can't really think of much else in terms of issues. The main issues really was when it first came out, the software wasn't really fleshed out all that much. There weren't that many features, and it just seemed like it wasn't quite ready to be released. Stuff like Legion Space, having to go on the Lenovo website to update things, but now they've changed that, so now you can update the device through Legion Space. It's a little bit easier in that sense to use. It's still not like a Steam Deck where you can kind of pick it up, set it up, and it's relatively easy. At the end of the day, this is a Windows handheld device. Windows handhelds have never been that great at usability. Half that's because of these guys not doing a good enough job. The other half is probably just Windows themselves. Windows does not function 100% all the time on a handheld or a touchscreen. But in terms of playing games, if the games that you're playing support controllers, then this will work probably just fine. There's even little vibration motors built into both analogs. There's even gyroscopic sensors built into the body and the separate controllers. So in the future, you could see certain games, maybe emulated Wii games, that you might be able to play with these controllers. I don't know if that's true, but you never know, you could see something like that. And a lot of people do use these devices as emulators. Trackpad's pretty decent. It's nothing special, obviously it's a trackpad. I will say you will end up using the trackpad a little bit if you don't want to get loads of fingerprints and smudges all over the screen, because as you can see in the video, it's a very glossy screen. There's no anti-reflection coating on the screen at all. And even just the body of it does get covered in little smudges and fingerprints and stuff like that. So keep a cloth with you. Try and keep it relatively clean, or as clean as you can. And yeah, it's just a solid device. It's really hard to complain. I mean, I don't even use it all that much really, but when I want to play a game, I'll play a game or browse the internet. I mean, I use Lightroom on this for editing photos. Main reason why I got this is because my computer broke, and I haven't got it fixed yet. I haven't felt like I needed to, because this just does everything my desktop did, but in a smaller package. I will say for some people, they might find the screen a little bit too big. It's a great screen, don't get me wrong, but sometimes when you're playing this on your lap, if you're playing like a first-person shooter, you kind of feel sometimes that you want it to be just a little bit smaller. Sometimes you feel like you're kind of half moving your eyeballs a lot, or you're kind of slightly moving your head to see the corners of the screen, because you don't think it's going to be an issue until you're sat with it on your lap or something like that, or you're lying down. And it does feel a little bit too big sometimes. The same with the weight. It's not the lightest thing in the world. I don't think it's a major issue, but in terms of, you're a kid or something, you might want to think about maybe looking at something a little bit lighter, because this is a little bit heavy. But at the same time, if they would have made these out of metal or better plastics, it would have been even heavier. Because if you detach these, they're very light. It's the bulk of their weight is in this. Another thing people complain about is the fan noise. I don't personally think it's that much of an issue, but when you've got it in the high performance setting, you can definitely hear the fans going. Like I said, I don't think it's that. Of my Lenovo Legion Go. And there we go, I've just checked the battery again, now it's at 14%. So it's been doing nothing this whole time, just the desktop. And it's gone down 4%. So that just gives you an indication of what the battery life can be like.